All right, welcome to Super Jam Podcast. We are live at the UK Creative Festival 2025. Woo! So I have got Katie and Noel here with me. Welcome, guys. How you doing?
Yeah,
Good.
all good.
Good stuff. And Katie, I was wondering, what's your initial response and reaction to the festival today?
Definitely yesterday was probably like the biggest highlight. I think just being on the beach and like seeing everybody and like just seeing quite a lot of people that I hadn't seen for a while. So yeah.
That's really cool. So for those that don't know, what was happening last night? Was it like the launch event or something like that? Or how did it go down?
Well, actually, Noel and I had to tag team it because we have a son. So I did the day bit and Noel did the night bit. So I got to catch up with quite a lot of people that I hadn't seen, and also like some of my mentees as well. So I mentor female creatives, and I got to see two of those yesterday, which was really nice.
That's amazing. Well, we will definitely talk about that a bit more in the podcast. And that's been a theme of some of the people we've chatted to today, people who've done the mentoring or were mentees and stuff like that. So that'll be cool. Noel, what about you? What is your first reaction to the festival?
Yeah, it's cool to see meet some new friends. So that's always nice. It's nice when like London and the big city and all that comes to little old Margate. Mm-hmm. So and showing them around and everyone appreciating the town and stuff. So that's been really cool. And we've got very lucky with the weather as well. Very, very good.
Oh yeah, it's been amazing.
Yeah, and there's been a lot of. I think interestingly, it's been like the conversations outside of the talks. The talks spark, and then they get carried on in the hallway and stuff. So it's like that seems to be where like the deeper chats have happened, and that's been quite cool.
Absolutely brilliant. I do want to shout out, we've got Tyler as well helping out in the background on the podcast. How you doing, Tyler?
Hello, I'm doing fine.
And what's your quick reaction to the festival? How have you found it so far?
Yep, I found it amazing. It's so many opportunities and just so many other things that I've found out about this place and other jobs that I can go into.
Absolutely magic. And speaking of jobs and careers, Katie, do you want to give us a bit of a background about your role in the creative industries at the moment?
So my current role is three things. One is creative director of another Acronym, which is the branding studio that I have with Noel. Then I'm a freelance experiential creative director, so I'm like a gun for hire, I'd say. And that's from agencies who like call me up and ask for help. And then I'm also a mentor as well for Who's Your Mama, which I've been doing for 5 years.
Amazing. And for those that haven't heard much about the experiential thing, that sounds interesting.
It's really fun. I love it. I basically got into it probably the third bit of my career.
Yeah.
Like I think there's ebbs and flows in your career.
Yeah.
And this was probably the best bit, I'd say.
So is that like more in-person events and things like that?
Yeah. And so you're building spaces essentially for people to enter, and like I'm very like where Noel does digital, motion, sound, I'm very tactile. So it's like, what does it smell like? What does it feel like? How does it make you feel when you walk into it?
That sounds cool. Like almost like installations.
Yes,
That's so
it's
cool.
great. It's great.
That sounds fun. And Noel, what about you? What would you say your role in the creative industry is?
I've called myself like a broad spectrum designer before. Or like, so I'm basically like a kind of generalist. And I think generalists are kind of getting their time now. Like there would have been a time I'd have been like a digital designer.
Yeah.
But that kind of doesn't really mean anything anymore because so much is digital. So I kind of work across all kinds of things from right at the beginning, creative strategy, ideas for things, through to like UX, so user experience stuff, or like how someone might use a website or an app or something, through to interface design, graphic design, animation, sound design, like anything that needs to happen to make it work, learning about, web analytics and advertising, and it's broad. So like it's just wearing lots of hats and being adaptable. I think is my.
Do you know, it's a conversation that's been going on a while. Like even I remember back in 2009, and me and my friends had just read this Douglas Copeland novel, J-Pod.
Oh yeah,
it's so good. Where they're about these like computer scientists, and it's basically like EA Games, even though it's not named that in the book. And there is a bit in it where the character's sort of bemoaning that they're like all-rounder, like, but there is and there is this like myth that you must specialize in your niche, which kind of has some truth if you're good at that kind of thing, and like you are. But there are people who are less like that and are more, have all these interests and stuff. And there's definitely a place in the industry for the all-rounders as well, right?
Yeah. I find, because I've usually worked in small teams. So one of my second proper job was like in a small, tiny agency, like 4 people, and we did lots of things like websites and banner ads for the music industry mostly. So, and like in that kind of size company, you kind of have to wear a lot of hats. So you have to learn. You can't just be the designer. You have to learn about. You have to. Well, first you have to dealing with clients and being like the project managery type person, and you have to understand the technology a bit as well. And even if you're not doing everything, you need to understand how everything fits together. Not be like in a silo. So, and then we worked together at an agency, media agency called OMD, and we had and that was another big agency but small team. So again, like lots of and technology changes or things change, and in there it's going to age us. But that was the time of Facebook apps and blogs, and that was what was that, early 2000s?
Yeah, that was massive digital campaigns.
Yeah, and so we were doing, and that stuff would change all the time. So the only constant is change, isn't it?
Yeah, you said, that openness to learning is really important, and it's kind of fun that someone we were talking on a podcast earlier, if you're learning, you're living. And it's kind of a good thing. It's nice to always be learning new things, and that adaptability is sometimes not easy, but also a good trait to have, and that curiosity. And I think it's good for our students to kind of learn that. And you guys are constantly learning stuff all the time, especially when you're in an educational environment. But it's cool that continues, doesn't it? And I was going to wonder, speaking of education and going back to our students' ages are between 16 and 25. I think what's fun for them if they're listening some days is to rewind the clock, because then they can maybe hear a story, what it was like for you then, Katie. Do you remember roughly in that age range, were you starting to find your feet, or were you on a different career path that then swerved into this? What was it like for you?
Actually, I wanted to be an archaeologist, which I thought at the time obviously was the coolest job ever, but it was not to be. But my dad worked at Saatchi in Melbourne, and he worked a lot. So my sister and I spent a lot of time in the art department, basically hanging out with the props and all that kind of stuff, drinking all the soft drinks we could find. And so I spent a lot of time in creative spaces, basically. And I was I want to get into advertising like my dad. And then it turns out I was rubbish at it. I did a pilot program, about that age. I think I was 17. And then I found design along the way, as in somebody was actually well, there's also design as well. And then I just focused on that when I was in high school. I started doing the local magazine, being part of that, doing all of the design for it, all the layouts of the pages, and I loved it. It was my favorite thing to do. So I think that was probably my entry into that space.
And it shows you at that age, it's totally okay to go down something, U-turn, and then I heard someone say once, as long as you're not standing still, it's okay. Just keep exploring, 100%.
Yeah.
So I think that's a great story for our students to hear.
Yeah, I definitely think I felt like I needed to have everything sorted out, but then I realized after that everything could just keep on changing, and that was okay.
Yeah, cool. As long as you were following your passion then, which was really important.
Definitely.
Someone you were interested in. Noel, what about you? What was it like for you that age?
I was just trying to recall. It's been a while.
I know, it's so long ago.
So I think my dream job when I was a kid was, I thought it was, I wanted to be an architect. But because I was then I realized a few things. So I was I want to be an architect. I want to make cool looking buildings and bridges and actually I just wanted to make cool looking stuff is kind of what it boiled down to. And then I realized that I didn't really want to study for 7 years to design stairwells in a hospital or something. So I got kind of talked out of it by the architects that came to the careers day and things like that. So but I still got a lot of respect for architecture and architects. But it did lead me down the route of video games. I wanted to get into then being a games artist, because I was now I can design crazy buildings and environments, and they don't have to work. They can just look great, it's more on the aesthetic side. And So that's what I ended up studying at uni, was like multimedia design and digital animation, or DADA.
Dada.
The most suspiciously
Dada.
named course in Carlisle. And that was great. That was quite, but it's quite broad. Again, it's broad. So like did like 3D animation in software that doesn't get used anymore, and we did a bit of video and film, and we did interactive stuff, and we did web. And the web was different then, and we'd started to learn Director, which doesn't exist anymore. Like doing interactive CD-ROMs, which don't exist anymore. But a lot of those. Where I thought I'd
Do you
go
still
in
have some copies of those?
Oh yeah, still got some old books somewhere. Yeah, gathering dust.
Do you want to play a game from back in the day?
Yeah, dust off the.
What is this thing?
Yeah.
What's even a
that was
CD
my,
drive?
My first job was making CD-ROMs and interactive CD-ROMs and DVD menus. That was my
I love
first.
DVD menus.
That was the art of making a good DVD menu.
I think there's a lost art in the extras of DVDs.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Like, you don't get that anymore.
No.
Well, you probably do somewhere, but
Where's
like,
it all
Yeah.
gone?
whereas
Yeah.
like, it used to be back, you'd watch the film and then you'd be like, right, I got 2 hours of extras
Yeah,
to watch
yeah,
if
yeah.
you like the film.
Yeah.
And it
like-
was quite entertaining. like.
Yeah, it's definitely a tangent here, but like Blu-ray, people don't like good things. I think people just don't deserve good things. Like Blu-rays come along, it's like, oh, amazing, brilliant quality, loads more extras, even nicer animated menus, and then
I bet you were buzzing for that.
and they were like,
Yeah.
oh, a bit expensive, aren't they? Like, and then like streaming comes along, and it's just like, well, let's just have like low bit rate, like nonsense, and all the blacks are all blocky, and it's like that's what you get, and no extras, and anyway. So and so with MP3s, and don't
Yeah.
get me started. Anyway, text messaging.
We got you started.
Old
You
man,
did,
old
you
man
did.
shouts at clouds.
God.
Yeah. But so that's what I thought I'd go into that, and doing 3D modeling and 3D design and stuff. Ended up getting better results or getting better grades or whatever in the multimedia side, like coding and stuff, which I hadn't really done before. And so I ended up going into more like web and stuff like that, and doing loads of Flash websites. And
Oh, yeah.
that was the glory days. And so I kind of into that space. And it's weird now, I'm kind of like rediscovering similar skills and trying to like teach myself how to like make games again in like game engines like Godot and stuff like that, and trying to learn the relevant
that
languages. And there's
natural curiosity I get
Yeah,
from both
yeah,
of you
yeah,
that I'm
It's
feeling,
like-
and that's came up as a bit of a theme for the festival today in the podcast. People being curious to learn new things and stuff.
Yeah.
And it's so fun hearing your backstory of what it was like when you guys were younger. Now, one of the cool things that some young people, or we know it's open to young people, is the mentor-mentee kind of schemes just now. So do you want to tell us a little bit about that, Katie?
Yeah. So I think I ended up doing it quite a lot when I was managing teams. So I built 3 in-house design teams over the course of my time in London in agencies. And I ended up mentoring quite a lot of junior people just naturally. And I realized why is because when I was a junior, I got given a work experience person every week for a year.
When you were a junior.
When I was a junior. So I didn't know what I was doing. And then I had somebody else who had to look after and also get them to do something that I didn't know what I was doing. So it was a weird experience, but I think I've kind of like thought about it now, and I'm like, actually, it put me in a really strong position to be able to, I don't know, help, but also work with other people in a space where I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing.
Because you had to
Because
learn
I had
it.
to, yeah. But I also had to manage them. So after a while, I started realizing that I really enjoyed mentoring or like talking to younger people in the teams and that kind of stuff. So it just eventuated. And then as I sort of worked up the ranks, I ended up volunteering at Who's Your Mama? And I've been doing it for 5 years. And I've got about, I don't know, maybe 10 mentees now, like who randomly call me up and go, I don't know what I'm doing. And so we talk through it, and then we make a decision, and then they do whatever they want to do. So yeah. But yeah, I'm also a mental health first aider as well. So there seems to be this curiosity to keep wanting to learn, understanding people. Maybe that's where the archaeology kind of comes in, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, I do think mentoring is incredibly important in any industry, really. And I think people, the younger audience, the younger students, all need to know that someone's got their back.
Yeah.
You know, and that they've got somebody who's probably gone through what they're going through now. And I
Yeah.
think that's really important.
Especially in the creative industries, because it's not the easiest thing to get into.
No,
I mean, because
it's
a lot
not.
of other industries, you go on Indeed.com, there's jobs, you apply. Whereas in the creative industries, there's a little bit of that, but there's a lot of like freelancing and like kind of
Yeah.
ad hoc work, and yeah, that maybe it's changed, but a lot of the big agencies you mentioned, I'm guessing while you were in London, you were working in some of them,
Yeah.
or other big cities. But I know with remote working, there's more opportunities these days as well, which is cool. So yeah, I think it's really good to have mentors to help just get clear the fog from that path a little
Yes.
bit, like feel like, okay, this is one way you could do, or one path you could explore for a
Yes.
while. And it definitely helps so much, right?
Yeah, and there's definitely reoccurring themes like I find every year, which is like confidence, selling yourself, like how do you package yourself up and how do you make yourself known by everybody? Managing upwards, like asking for things like money and raises and organizing your day rates and learning about yourself as a creative, that kind of thing. All of these things are always sort of like coming up over and over again.
If anyone who's younger and listening to this is interested in the mentorship you do and the one you volunteer for, is there a
Yes.
good place to send them?
Yes, so it's run by by She Says, and the mentoring scheme is called Who's Your Mama, and it's every 6 months. So the next cohort will be, I think, in January. So yeah, you can look it up and apply.
That's so
And it's
cool.
free.
That's amazing. I'm so glad to hear these things. We'll definitely promote that to all the students at Superjam for sure.
Great.
And is there anything else you guys? I'm guessing people listening might want to see some of your work and the stuff you're talking about. Where's a good place to send them to see some of the stuff you guys make?
Probably our Instagram page is quite good. It's a good place to start. We do have a website that hasn't a lot on it at the moment because we're all perpetually like rebuilding it, and it seems to, and that always falls on me. And then when you're busy, you don't need one. And then when
So what's the handle for the Instagram page?
Another Acronym Limited, another Acronym LTD on Instagram.
Brilliant. Well, so check out everyone, see the work. That'd be amazing.
Anotheracronym.com.
Well, I want to say thanks so much for joining us on the podcast today. Before we wrap up, Tyler's been helping out in the background as well. Anything you want to ask or say, Tyler?
Yeah, I do have one last question for the both of you. What's like one tip that you'd give anybody who wants to go into the creative industry that could help them set foot into it?
Oh, that's a good question.
I would say just self-starting. So like just if you've got, don't just wait for things to come along and just start those like weird little side projects you've got and just and stick at them. Because I think until you've got like a portfolio of something to show, or even just and even if it's not the work you would be doing in that job, it shows you've got like an attitude that wants to go and do stuff, and I think that's all you can go on when you have nothing behind you, like no big body of work that you can show. But if you can show that you've got a good attitude to doing stuff, and you learn a lot from just initiating those projects, I think it might be like, I'm going to record a song, I'm going to make I had something. I was going to start a band, and that was going to be my side project, and then and that was to try and prove that I had the ability to do things. So I was going to use I can design posters for that. I can make music videos for that. I can, there's loads of things you can hang stuff off of as a creative project. And I think, it doesn't really matter what that is. It might be like creative writing or drawing, whatever the thing is. Just do the thing.
Do stuff.
Yeah,
I get that. That is great advice. And you'll hear the YouTube entrepreneur influencers, they'll be like, take action. It's basically the same thing. It's just do the stuff you want to do.
Do the stuff you want to do.
Which I know Tyler is great at already, actually. But it's good if we keep that up. But
show me you've got the right. Show me you've got an attitude.
What about you, Katie? Same question.
Same question. I come at it from a very practical point of view, where I'm all about getting all of your stuff sorted, so getting your CV sorted, getting testimonials from people, like quotes, anything that it's proof of your abilities, proof of your value. And sometimes I ask for testimonials and they're like, I'm too busy to write it. So I write it for them. And this way you can control what you want them to say about you, and then they approve it. Right?
Smart. I like
so this
that. I
is a
like
quicker
that.
way of doing it, because sometimes you want them to say a specific thing.
Yeah, do get them to approve it. Don't
Yeah,
just
do
make
get them
stuff
to
up.
approve. Otherwise, you get into a bit of a weird spot. But I would say, just be organized and have your CV or have whatever you've got, and just don't be afraid to just keep on asking for time, for a minute, for somebody to review your stuff, and just keep asking. And even if you get no's, at some point somebody will know somebody who does say yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Amazing advice.
Thank you.
Want to ask any more
welcome.
questions?
No, I think that's it for me. Thank you.
Amazing. Well, guys, thanks so much for joining the podcast today. Enjoy the rest of the festival.
Thank you for having us.
Thanks a lot. Cheers.
Bye.